This trade detonated everything. James Harden to Cleveland for Darius Garland, and a second-round pick. And the fallout rewrites timelines, identities, and the immediate paths for two teams desperate to win now. Detonation, timeline. Here are 8 factors: Harden trade fallout overview, context, the rumor mill went nuclear, and then the league papered over it with confirmed reports. James Harden is reportedly heading to Cleveland, and Darius Garland plus a second-round pick are heading to the Clippers. At first glance, it reads like a straight swap of starting ball handler, an unusual eyebrow-raising transaction in an era where deadlines usually shuffle contracts, picks, and complementary pieces instead of 2 starters at the same position. That's why this feels seismic. It's not just a jersey change, it's a repositioning of 2 contender timelines. Seismic, repositioning. This chapter is about establishing the immediate facts and the emotional hit. Harden 36 brings veteran playmaking, creation, and the type of endgame savvy that has vaulted teams into playoff runs before. Garland 28 is younger, homegrown from Cleveland's draft pipeline, and when healthy is an athletic ball handler who can run an offense and score in bursts. The second-round pick is small but meaningful as a future asset or trade chip. Together, they form a package that forces both franchises to pivot overnight. Facts, emotion. Beyond the box score, there's the public reaction. Cavs fans processing a beloved long-term piece being shipped for a mercurial superstar in his mid-30s. Clippers fans adjusting to losing a reliable creator in exchange for a younger but availability questioned handler. The initial chatter is loud because this trade changes matchups, rotations, and the psychological tenor for these clubs.
I have no comment on it. Respect his decision.
It also shifts the way other teams will react around seeding, matchup planning, and potential playoff adjustments. This detonation chapter is the snapshot, the who, what, and why it matters in the moment. Reaction, snapshot. James Harden has always been more than a stat line. He's a storyline generator. His career arc combines elite playmaking, isolation dominance, and a willingness to demand change. That personality trait, blunt and transactional, has produced both championships level plays and public drama. When Harden's name surfaces, narratives follow, scoring eruptions, load management debates, and trade sagas. That's part of why Cleveland acquiring him is so loud. He changes the plot immediately. Storyline, alter on court. Harden is still a creator. He manipulates spacing, draws help, and converts late clock possessions into high efficiency outcomes. Even as he ages, his feel for pick and roll reads, timing on pocket passes, and ability to manufacture free throws and open looks remain elite. Those skills are precisely what a team coveting a deeper playoff push would want in late game scenarios. Harden's presence forces defenses to overcommit, which can open up Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs' wings for easier catch and shoot opportunities or cuts. Creator, elite, but his game has trade-offs. Harden is less mobile defensively than he once was, and his usage-heavy approach can flatten an offense if teammates don't adapt. Chemistry takes time, and his arrival demands role recalibration. Cleveland must reshuffle rotations and reassign responsibilities to maintain spacing when Harden initiates. There's also the media and cultural layer. He's a star whose arrival will be magnified by hype, scrutiny, and elevated expectations instantly. How Harden integrates socially in practice and in crunch moments will be as decisive as the nightly box score. So in trade-offs, caliber. From Cleveland's perspective, the logic is blunt and urgent. If the window is now, add a veteran creator who changes end-of-game outcomes. The Cavs core, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, until now, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, has proven it can contend in spurts, but has struggled to get over certain playoff hurdles. Management appears to have decided that adding Harden's shot creation and late-game craft is worth accelerating the timeline. Urgent, window trading Garland, a 28-year-old homegrown starter, signals Cleveland is prioritizing the present. Garland's health and consistency have been flagged internally as potential limiting factors. If the front office concluded he wouldn't be reliable enough in a stretch run, moving for Harden is defensible. The upside is clear. Harden's experience in high-leverage moments can directly change the outcome of tight playoff series. His ability to manage end-of-game situations, hit step-back threes, and pick apart coverage could unlock Donovan Mitchell's best playoff form by reducing isolation burden and creating easier scoring pockets. Priority, upside. Yet this is also a high-risk, high-pressure choice. Harden is 36. Cleveland's window now narrows. The team sacrifices years of intrinsic youth-aligned flexibility for immediate gain. The roster construction questions multiply. Who gets the touches Garland vacates? Which young pieces see their roles shrink? How does this affect contract planning and potential extensions? Cleveland's logic is clear, sprint now. But the trade-off is a compressed future that may cost sustained contention beyond the next season or two. Risk. Compressed Los Angeles' logic reads like a different kind of gamble. Swap a veteran creator for a younger lead who could better fit a longer runway. Garland, when healthy, can orchestrate offense, score with momentum and age into a prime companion for Kawhi Leonard and Ivica Zubac. The Clippers gain a potential multi-year starter at point guard and pick up a small draft asset. If Garland returns to form, the move lengthens the team's contention window and preserves a tight profile that pairs with Kawhi's limited minutes and Zubac's interior presence. Gamble, a runway. That said, it's not a clean win. Harden's ability to generate offense for others is immediate and consistent. Losing that removes a proven playmaker who has historically opened defensive lanes for stars like Kawhi. The Clippers are betting that Garland's upside outweighs the short-term gap left by Harden's exit, and that they can survive the transitional season while aiming for a healthier future core alignment. Transition beat, including a second rounder, suggests the Clippers were serious about landing Garland and believed his long-term value justified sacrificing a minor asset. It also signals an organizational preference for rebalancing age and contracts rather than doubling down on short-term star power. The trade is a strategic reset and potentially beneficial in the middle to long term, but risky if Garland's availability remains inconsistent. For the Clips, this is a bet on restoration. Restore youth, restore durability, and hope that system and health produce dividends. Reset, restoration. Schematically, this is seismic. Harden's game skews offenses toward pick and roll and isolation creation. He thrives when defenses collapse and rotate. Cleveland's coaches must design sets that maximize penetration and kickouts while preserving spacing for Mitchell and the wings. Harden opening the floor could create more catch and shoot for role players, increase cutter success, and tilt end-of-game play calling toward constructed possessions rather than pure iso ball. Is Schematic, seismic for the Clippers. Garland brings different tendencies, more movement, bursts off the ball, and a combination of pick and roll and off-ball creation. Los Angeles will need to craft lineups that protect Garland's health and maximize spacing around Kawhi. The coaching staff must determine how to compensate for the lost shot creation previously supplied by Harden. Does Los Angeles increase wing shooting, change late clock sets, or distribute creation more evenly across bench minutes? The answers will evolve, but the schematic ripple effects are immediate. Tendencies. Compensate rotation puzzles abound. Cleveland must decide who cedes minutes to Harden, how bench roles shift, and which two-guard or small ball configurations they prioritize. Will Evan Mobley and Jared Allen see different pick and roll pairings? Can the Cavs maintain defensive integrity while adding an offense-first veteran? Los Angeles faces similar chess. Which lineups best hide Garland's defensive lapses and capitalize on his speed? How do substitution patterns change when Kawhi's minutes must be preserved? These on-court decisions will determine short-term efficacy and playoff viability. Rotations, puzzle. The bench and defensive consequences are underappreciated, but vital. Harden's arrival tends to reallocate touches and responsibilities, often squeezing secondary creators and spot-up shooters who previously relied on Garland's timing. Role players will either flourish under easier looks or struggle when asked to do different things. The Cavs bench could get more catch and shoot chances, but also must learn to operate in a Harden-centric rhythm. Bench, consequences. Defensively, the picture is mixed. Harden historically is not an elite defender in his later years. Garland has had defensive flashes and lapses. Each team must weigh whether the offensive upside of their new guard outweighs a possible defensive downgrade or upgrade. Cleveland might accept a slight defensive drift in exchange for Harden's late-game offense. The Clippers might hope Garland's younger legs and mobility yield better two-way outcomes long-term. Defense. Trade-off chemistry is the wild card. Trades disrupt habits, routines, and locker room dynamics. The Cavs lose a homegrown leader in Garland. The Clippers lose a steady veteran influence in Harden.
Like I said earlier, Cleveland was great to me and my family, and I have the utmost respect for all those guys over there in that organization.
How teammates respond emotionally and professionally. One who embraces new roles, who thrives on new touches, who struggles with reduced minutes. They will shape the narrative. Sometimes the intangible fits turn a risky trade into a massive success. Sometimes they expose fractures that states and matchups didn't predict. Chemistry, wildcard deadline moves rarely happen in a vacuum. Salary, contract lengths, and future payroll flexibility often drive decisions as much as on-court fit. Harden's contract structure and the timing of the trade could reflect Cleveland's willingness to accept short-term financial constraints for immediate roster enhancement that may limit their ability to sign extensions or add complementary pieces in the near future. Financial, timing for the Clippers. Moving Harden now could be a forward-looking play to create payroll room later, especially if they aim to preserve flexibility around Kawhi's next strategic windows or other roster tweaks. The inclusion of a second-round pick is also a small but meaningful note. It can be used to draft, stash, or flip in subsequent transactions. transactions. These micro assets matter for depth and contingency planning. Payroll, flexibility extensions, and long-term fit are thorny here. Harden is unlikely to be a multi-year cornerstone in a youth-first rebuild. Cleveland must decide whether to keep him beyond the current season or use him as a bridge. Conversely, Garland fits a longer arc with Los Angeles, which may have been the underlying priority, paying a younger starter across multiple seasons rather than investing more heavily in an aging superstar's contract. The financial chess will unfold across offseason maneuvering and will affect each franchise's roster construction philosophy moving forward. Extensions chess. If we assign immediate grades with the caveat that time and playoffs will be the true jury, Cleveland's move leans toward a C+. It's bold, understandable, and potentially game-changing in the short term, but it compresses their future and raises legitimate doubts about sustainability. Los Angeles sits somewhere between a C and a B-. The longer-term upside with Garland is attractive if health and integration hold, but the short-term loss of Harden's dependable creation is real and painful. Grades? Caution. There's also a contrarian take. This could be an F for both if neither team navigates the transition well. Too many unknowns. Garland's availability after the move, Harden's fit with Mitchell, rotational adjustments, and locker room chemistry, what make the outcome precarious. The most honest assessment is that both franchises took a calculated risk. Cleveland sprinted for present upside. Los Angeles bet on restoring youth and longevity. Contrarian risk. What to watch next. How Cleveland deploys Harden in late game situations. How minutes are redistributed and whether their bench adapts. For the Clippers, monitor Garland's conditioning, his synergy with Kawhi, changes to offensive sets, and whether rotation choices protect him and maximize scoring balance. Off court, keep an eye on contract signals, whispers about extensions, and the subtle locker room shifts that transform fit into results. Watch next. This trade will be judged in months, not hours. Playoff basketball, the adjustments, the series narratives, the late game possessions will reveal whether this was audacious mastery or frantic overcorrection. For now, tip your hat to Harden for being a consistent storyline engine. Acknowledge Cleveland's willingness to gamble and note the Clippers betting on longevity. The deadline delivered drama and we'll learn the true cost or reward as the games pile up. Judgment time. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like this one right here. It's definitely something you'll be interested in. Click it now.